Good morning. This is Don V with Truth Be Told, broadcasting under sunny skies. It's like we're probably going to be around 80-ish today here in Arizona. Any rate, without ado, please subscribe and please click the bell. Thumbs up for me. Appreciate it. And without ado, let's go ahead and move to the top story of the day. Says an entire California town is without running water. This is how California's water crisis is going these days. The only functioning well in the rural community of Tevinston broke in early June, leaving more than 700 residents without running water as temperatures in the Central Valley soared to triple digits in a drought. It's day to day for the people of Teviston, said Frank Galaviz, a board member of the Television Community Service District, in an interview with the Fresno Bee. Teviston's residents are relying on limited bottled water for necessities such as staying hydrated, cooking, bathing, flushing toilets. Some residents, like Galavin, are traveling to neighboring towns to stay with family or friends to shower and wash clothes. Galavin shared news of the well's breakdown during a virtual conference on a drought organized by State Senator Melissa Hurtado, a Democrat from Sanger. The district found sand in the pump, which led to the breakdown. In response to the well's failure, the district is delivering cases of bottled water and 5-gallon jugs to its residents. Tanker trucks haul water from Porterville, 23 miles away, to fill Teviston's 2 water storage tanks. Now, it sounds like this town's near Bakersfield, the Central Valley, where I grew up. It says it's just barely enough, and in some cases not enough, Galavin said. Some families are larger than others. Teviston is an unincorporated community in Tulare County that lies off Highway 99 between Pixley and Early Mart, south of Delano. The community's first residents were primarily black migrants from the Cotton Belt and Dust Belt states. Today, the majority of its residents are Latino farm workers. It may take weeks to get running water back in Teviston households, said Galaviz, who is waiting on the pieces needed to repair the pump. But fixing the pump may not fix the problem. Galavin said he fears the well may have dried up. That's not good. And let's go over here. It says the sinister agenda behind California's water crisis, looming food supply catastrophe. In recent months, a crisis situation in the USA food supply has been growing and is about to assume alarming dimensions that could become catastrophic. Atop the existing corona pandemic, lockdowns, and unemployment, a looming agriculture crisis as well could tip inflation measures to cause a financial crisis as interest rates rise. The ingredients are many, but central is a severe drought in key growing states of the Dakotas and Southwest, including agriculture-intensive California. So far, Washington has done disturbingly little to address the crisis, and California Water Board officials have been making the crisis far worse by draining the state's water reservoirs into the ocean. Yeah, that's what they make these reservoirs for. They were created for, is to store up enough water for 5 years, so when they had drier years, like this year, they had plenty of water. But Newsom, being a Democrat, does what Democrats do. So far, the worst hit farm state is North Dakota, which grows most of the nation's red spring wheat. In the upper Midwest, the northern plains states and the prairie provinces of Canada winter brought far too little snow following a 2020 exceedingly dry summer. The result is drought from Manitoba, Canada, to the northern USA plain states. This hits farmers in the region just 4 years after a flash drought in 2017 arrived, without early warning, and devastated the U.S. North Great Plains region, comprising of Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, and adjacent Canadian Prairies. As of May 27th, according to Adnan Akyaz, state climatologist, 93% of the North Dakota state is at least a severe drought category, and 77% of the state is an extreme drought category. Farm organizations predicted that unless the rainfall changes dramatically in the coming weeks, the harvest of wheat widely used for pasta and flour will be a disaster. The extreme dry conditions extend north of the Dakota border into Manitoba, Canada. another major grain and farming region, especially for wheat and corn. There, the lack of rainfall and warmer than normal temperatures threaten harvest, though it is still early for those crops. North Dakota in the Plains region depended on snow and rainfall for its agricultural water. Southwest states in severe drought, and while not as severe, farm states Iowa and Illinois are suffering abnormally dry conditions as 64% for Iowa and 27% for Illinois. About 55% of Minnesota is abnormally dry as the end of May. Drought is measured in a scale from D1, abnormally dry, D3, severe drought, to D4, exceptional drought. California's agriculture is vital. The situation in California is by far the most serious in its potential impact on the supply of agriculture products to the nation. There, irrigation and sophisticated water storage systems provide water for irrigation and urban use to the state for their periodic dry seasons. Here, a far larger catastrophe is in the making. A clinical drought season is combining with literally criminal state environmental politics to devastate agriculture in the nation's most important farm-producing state. It is a part of a radical green agenda being advocated by Governor Gavin Newsom and fellow Democrats to dismantle traditional agriculture, as insane as it may sound. Few outside California realize that the state's most known for Silicon Valley and beautiful beaches is such a vital source of agricultural production. California's agriculture sector is the most important in the United States, leaving the nation's production in over 77 different products, including dairy and a number of fruit and vegetable specialty crops. The state is the only producer of crops such as almonds, artichokes, persimmons, raisins, and walnuts. California grows a third of the country's vegetables and two-thirds of the country's fruits and nuts. It all leads all other states in farm income with 77,500 farms and ranches. It also is second in production of livestock behind Texas, and its dairy industry in California leading commodity in cash receipts. In total, 43 million acres of the state's 100 million acres are devoted to agriculture. In short, what happens here is vital to the nation's food supply. And it says, California's crisis, man-made. Where has the water gone? The water crisis in California is far the most serious in terms of consequences for the food supply. In a period when the U.S. faces major supply chain disruptions owing to absurd corona lockdowns combined with highly suspicious hacks of key infrastructure on May 31st, the infrastructure of the world's largest meat processor, JBS SA, was hacked, forcing the shutdown of all its beef plants that supply almost a quarter of the American beef. The Green Lobby is asserting, while presenting no factual evidence, that global warming, i.e. increased CO2 man-made emissions, is causing the drought. No examined the case and found no evidence. But the media repeats the narrative to advance the Green New Deal agenda without frightening statements such as claiming the drought is compared to the worst mega drought since 800 CE. After 2011, California underwent a severe 7-year drought. The drought ended in 2019 as major rains filled the California reservoir system to capacity. According to state water experts, the reservoirs held enough water to easily endure at least a 5-year drought. Yet 2 years later, the administration of Governor Newsom is declaring a new drought and threatening emergency measures. What his administration is not saying is that the State Water Board and relevant state water authorities have been deliberately letting water flow into the Pacific Ocean. Why? They say they have to save 2 endangered fish species that are all but extinct. One a rare type of salmon, the second a delta smelt, a tiny minnow-sized fish of 2 inches size, which has all but disappeared. In June of 2019, Shasta Dam, holding the state's largest reservoir as a keystone of the huge Central Valley project, was full to 98% of capacity. Just 2 years later, in May 2021, Shasta Lake's reservoir held a mere 42% of capacity, almost 60% down. Similarly, in June 2019, the Oroville Dam Reservoir, the second largest, held water at 98% of capacity, and May 2021 was down just 37%. Other smaller reservoirs saw similar drops. Where has all the water gone? Allegedly, to save these fish varieties during the just 14 days in May, According to Christy Diner, a California water expert and farmer, 90% of the Bay Area Delta inflow went to the sea. It's equal to a year's supply of water for 1 million people. Diner has been warning repeatedly in recent years that water is unnecessarily being let out to the sea as the state faces a normal dry year, she asks. Should we be having water shortages in the start of our second dry year? No. Our reservoirs were designed to provide a steady 5-year supply for all users and were filled to the top in 2019. In 2008, at the demand of environmental groups such as NRDC, a California judge ordered that the Central Valley Water Project send 50% of water reservoirs to the Pacific Ocean to save an endangered salmon variety, even though the NGO admitted that no more than 1,000 salmon would likely be saved by the extreme measure. In the years 98 through 2005, an estimated average of 49% of California managed water supply went to what is termed the environment, including feeding into streams and rivers to feed estuaries and the Bay Area Delta. Only 28% went directly to maintain agriculture water supplies. This past year, January, Felicia Marcus, the chair of the California State Water Resources Control Board, who oversaw the controversial water policy since 2018, left at the end of her term to become an attorney for the Natural Resources Defense Council, one of the most powerful green NGOs with the reported $400 million in resources to wage legal battles to defend endangered species such as the California salmon and Delta smelt. Appointed by Green Governor Jerry Brown as chair of the State Water Board in 2018. Oh, Jerry Brown. That guy was pathetic. He was as bad as Newsom. Marcus is directly responsible for the draining of the reservoirs in the ocean after they filled in 2019, using the claim of protecting endangered species in March of 2021, with Marcus as attorney. The NRDC requested that the State Water Resources Control Board, Marcus headed, until recently, take immediate action to address perceived threats to listed salmon in the Sacramento River watershed from Central Valley Project operations. This as the state is facing a new drought emergency. 2020, Governor Gavin Newsom, a protege of Jerry Brown, signed Senate Bill 1, the California Environmental, Public Health, and Workers' Defense Act, which would send billions of gallons of water out into the Pacific Ocean, ostensibly to save more fish. It was a cover for manufacturing the present water crisis and specifically attacking farming, as incredible as it may seem. Oh, my word. I would go ahead and read on, but this is definitely a long report. What are these people thinking? It sounds like they're going to starve us out, and then they're going to dry us out with no water to drink in California. Thank God I don't live in that state anymore. That's one of the reasons why I moved away from there. At any rate, this is Don V. with Truth Be Told. Hope you enjoyed these stories. Don't forget to subscribe, and we are out of here.